Record. All right, so now now you have my fucking information, so I'm gonna have to cut that shit out. So, is it gonna give me a feedback screen? All right, so that's my air conditioning. Sorry about that. This is just for personal use, most likely. I This is the very first time I'm using this webcam. I've never had a webcam in my whole life. Um, I've had laptop cameras, but this is my first webcam. This is the first time I've recorded with webcam, and um I'm using my image that I made. Actually, I later did some like kind of I was gonna say involuntary analysis, but it's more like an accidental objective analysis. And this picture that you see here, what I'm trying to do is develop an automated theorem prover that will start at L1 and do all the steps to get to the green box at the bottom um, without knowing anything. Basically, that's the idea. But then, like the objective analysis that I got from like a beefy automated theorem prover, I think it was Claude. He said that's a no-brainer. He said that's like a zero level problem. So it's like don't even bother with that, but it still is a cool picture. But it does explain what automated theorem proving is about, like especially that red box. I imagine like that happens all the time, where you do like a consequence that has nothing to do with the green box. You know, like this is like the most elegant proof you could get to the green box. Actually, like half of it you don't need. But I like this picture a lot. I didn't draw it, of course. I think Claude drew it, but I said here, I think this would make a good picture, so draw a picture. So it drew a picture. I said, like, I don't know if am I good at prompt writing or does everyone write prompts like this? Like I don't know. Like I just wrote a prompt that I wrote like one prompt and it did this. And there's hell no did I like put like, words in boxes and stuff. Like no, I didn't. Like in fact, like those words could be all wrong. Like I have no idea whatsoever. Um I know the last one's correct. What's what's really like bizarre, like there's tons of things in math that are bizarre, but this will bake your noodle. See, like this is supposed to bake an automated theorem prover's noodle. That's that's the whole idea of this particular thing. It's supposed to challenge them. It's a benchmark, okay? And that's what it says. It's a benchmark, okay? Um, and the reason why it's a benchmark is because the training data is all real numbers. Um, and ZFC set theory. So like, in ZFC set theory, you don't see non-standard analysis, you don't see infinitesimals. Although when you crack open a book on non-standard analysis, it's all ZFC. It's just ZFC they you don't need in some sense. But you don't need like the axiom of regularity either. You don't need that. I mean, what do you need that for? I mean, you need that for like the axiom of foundation. Like I remember one question on the final on my set theory class back in like 1996 or 97. I took a set theory class from a guy who's probably dead now, and he smelled bad in the elevator, and he didn't talk much ever. I remember the for the first like 45 minutes of class, he didn't talk. He wrote on the board. He wrote very eloquently. He wrote very like you could have taken a picture of what he was writing. He wasn't writing from notes, and I thought he was amazing. But he wasn't human though. I mean, he was different. He was a different animal. And anyway, I heard that he drove a black Porsche. Um, and when I told another logician that, he laughed hysterically. Um, Max Stanley, I told him it when I attended a logic class. I audited a logic class at San Jose State. Um, I told him Jack Silver drives a black Porsche. He was like hysterically, he couldn't stop laughing. He's like, Jack Silver drives a black Porsche. Yeah, John Searle told me, or John Searle, like, because John Searle was haunting Berkeley for a while, and actually my wife took a class from John Searle, and she would bring home his arguments, and I would debate with her about his arguments about the Chinese room. She sat in his lectures on the Chinese room. And so I was like secondhand away from the Chinese room experiment. I kept disliking it. It's like I had so many objections to it. Like, well, what if it's not proving anything? Like, I don't get what it's proving. Like, I mean, there's just so many objections. Like, I mean, I get what he's trying to prove. Like, he's definitely proved that it's plausible, that his conclusion is plausible, but um, that you could mimic understanding when you don't have any understanding. Yeah, that is completely plausible. And but does that prove that a machine's understanding is, you know, false all the time? Why does that prove that all machine understanding is mimicry? I don't get that. Why aren't our machines understanding not mimicry? Why are we not parrots? If anyway, that's John Searle's argument. So, in set theory, one of our questions on the final was to prove that for every set, X is not an element of X. That was one of the questions. It's actually a one-line fucking argument. It's from the axiom of foundation. Okay. I mean, I felt so embarrassed. Like, I like when I reread the axioms, like years later, because it's not like Euclidean geometry. There's roughly nine. Well, technically, there's infinitely many axioms, but there's like 9 to 12 categories. I don't mean category theory. I mean like categories. They're called schemata, um, where every set gives rise to a new, like technically a new axiom, but of the same pattern. Like the anyway, and it's actually an axiom schemata of foundation. And anyway, it says basically no set is an element of itself. So all you had to do was quote that axiom, and it says, "Oh well, axiom's foundation says this, so that's it." So all the final exam question was is, have you read the axioms? Like that's. All that's really all it was. Like, let's see if I can bring up the axiom of foundation. Um, Probably like Chat GPT would be the better one on that one. Um, all right, so yeah, the final exam question. I probably, I would have got a higher score in the class if I got this one right, but I blew it. I think I wrote like a page long proof, and you cannot prove anything if you don't like. Maybe I eventually realized it was because of the axiom, and I got it right. But if I never realized it was because of the axiom, I would have gotten it wrong because that axiom is independent of the other axioms. It's very whatever very independent means, um like the empty set axiom is not independent of the other axioms. For example, the pair set axiom implies the empty set axiom. The comprehension axiom implies the empty set axiom. So we actually don't need every axiom in the textbook. We only need like, I don't know, eight, because if you were to draw like a graph, there's like eight of them who imply like the other four. So, but it makes it easier to like understand, if we had like 12. So it's easier to do this with my glasses on because I'm slightly vision impaired. So let's see. What if I turn on my keyboard? I like to turn it off because um, what is the axiom of foundation and how can you use it let me make this shit bigger for you guys. Prove that for every set X, not X is an element of X. So that that was the question on my final exam. I was like, out of all of Berkeley, like that was like one of like there's like three final exam questions I actually do remember. That's one of them. And I got it wrong. Like I think all the ones I remember, I remember getting them wrong. So let's see what it says. It's probably like a two-line proof. I already said regularity. Yeah, that's right. So for all A, so A is a set, by the way. Everything you see that's a letter, um, is a set. Now the backwards E is not considered a letter, so what I just said is not a lie. So okay. And the thing that looks like an E, that's not a letter either. So okay, that's not a set. But every letter or symbol that looks, is a set. So the empty set. So if A is not empty, then that means there's something in A that's not like magical. Okay, so if it's not empty, then there's gotta be something in there such that it intersects with A is empty. So in other words, those are always like really fucked up to understand. So in other words, every non-empty set A contains an element Y that has no elements in common with A. Okay. Now, how does that prove the motherfucking, you know, final exam question though? And I didn't nobody told me that those two were connected later. Like, that's how my brain works. Like, like 10 years later, like shit, like there's like a like giant graphs in my brain, like, and I'm not the only one. Humans in general work this way, like especially ones that do a lot of, pot, like especially the indica, like or other stimulants, the not the shitty kind, the good kind, and anyway, no, that ruined my life. Don't do that. It ruins your life. Look at me. And so anyway, so to prove that no set is an element of itself, let X be proof by contradiction. So you let A, okay. So you do it. This is a trick, but the axiom was designed for this trick. I can see that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's it. That's very smooth. Very smooth. Yeah. That is very smooth. I like that. Yep. That's what we were supposed to do on the final exam. That is exactly what we were supposed to do. And that was probably, in the book somewhere, and I didn't retain that. There's no way I was going to retain that. And yeah, I passed, but I didn't get an A. I only got when I was at Berkeley, I took two or three classes per semester. So average of 2.5 classes for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 semesters. So 5 times 2.5 is I want to say 7.5. So like seven classes, let's say. No, wait. What the fuck am I doing? I should ask ChatGPT. What am I thinking about it for? Right? Okay, so I had I took either actually my first semester I took three classes, but I failed one of them. So we're only talking about the ones I passed. Either two or three alternating classes for 1996, 1997, and half of 1998. How many classes did I take? I don't know why I thought seven. Seven is like a ridiculous number. No, it's like 15, I think, right? Now I want to say 15, but well, I guess we'll find out soon. Okay, 12 or 13. Okay. I could look at my transcript. I still have it. Um, so out of 12, my point is out of 12 or 13, I got like if you look at like A plus, A or A minus, I never got an A. Oh, I did get an A. I got one A and I got two A minuses out of 12 classes. Now at my community college, I got all fucking A's. Okay, so and I wasn't even really trying. Now at Berkeley, I was trying and I was getting like D's. Okay, I was getting D's and D plus, D. I never got an F, but I did get like a couple of D's. Um, I remember at my first, I like saying first graduate school. At my first graduate school at San Francisco State, I wonder if he's still alive. He's got to be close to 80 now. Dr. Hayashi and I used to talk in his office a lot because he graduated from Berkeley for his PhD. His PhD advisor was Saracen. I took a class from Saracen and got a D in it, and I actually knew that. Um, and I'm sure it was pretty amusing. I thought it was cool. And the chair of the department got his PhD from Saracen also, and he also knew that I failed Saracen's class. Saracen's been dead for a long time. It's weird, like I took a class from this guy, and I remember his mannerisms, and his voice, and like the way he taught, and he's dead now. It's just, I wonder if my students are gonna remember me, like, but they'll never know. Like, they will never know. Like, I don't know. It's weird. So I don't have a Wikipedia page, so like they'll never know. Anyway, it's okay. And I yeah, like I want anyone to cry anyway. So um how she heard my story, how I got D's, and fucking like B minuses and stuff like that. And he was like, and I did graduate, and he was like, um, I don't remember his exact words, but he was like, he said, "Wow, that's a testament to your tenacity." And he used words like not he didn't say tenacity. I don't remember the word he used. He didn't say testament either, but he said something like it's pretty remarkable that I fucked up a bunch of times, but I still graduated anyway. Um, but yeah, um, I think I'll stop it there. This is just a test anyway.